They gave me a binder, a thick green binder, heavier than it looked, with 231 instructions inside, and one rule written in bold at the very beginning. Don't try to understand them. At the time, it didn't feel like a warning. It felt like something practical, like advice you give to someone starting a complicated job. I didn't question it. I needed the job, and the pay was better than anything I'd had before, so I took it. I got the job on a Tuesday. I remember that clearly, though I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's because that was the last day everything felt normal. The woman at the office didn't seem like she was expecting me. There was something off about the way she looked at me, like she was trying to place me in a memory that didn't quite exist. She didn't ask questions. She didn't check my paperwork. She didn't explain anything about the job. She just reached under her desk, pulled out the binder, and slid it toward me. "Everything you need is inside," she said. "No supervisor, no training, no explanation, just instructions." I drove home with the binder sitting on the passenger seat. I remember glancing at it every few seconds, half expecting it to fall over or open on its own. That night, I started reading it. The first section was exactly what I expected. Legal agreements, safety disclaimers, maps of the zone, equipment checklists. It all looked standard, familiar, almost comforting. I told myself this was just another remote monitoring job. Quiet, isolated, maybe boring, but safe. Then I reached the instructions. 231 of them, numbered, structured, precise. At first, they made perfect sense. Check the sensors, log the readings, walk the perimeter, repeat. Simple, routine, safe. But the further I read, the more something felt off. The instructions didn't just tell me what to do. They told me exactly how to think about what I was doing. One instruction said, "Do not reread the previous sentence." I remember pausing when I read that. It felt like a mistake, like something that wasn't supposed to be there. Naturally, I read it again. Nothing happened. At least, nothing I could notice. Another instruction said, "If something goes wrong, log it." Later, another one said, "If it doesn't fix itself, log it anyway," which meant no matter what happened, I was always logging something. The outcome didn't matter. The process did. That was the first time I felt it, that subtle shift, like I wasn't being asked to observe anything. I was being asked to maintain something. At first, I tried to understand. I went back through the instructions looking for patterns, trying to connect them, trying to figure out what the sensors were actually measuring. But every time I got close, my thoughts would just stop. Not completely, just enough to make me lose focus, like something was gently pushing me away from the answer. I told myself I was overthinking it. I told myself it would make sense once I started the job. It didn't. The station was smaller than I expected, just a single room in the middle of a clearing, surrounded by dense forest on all sides. The walls felt older than they looked, like they'd been there longer than they were supposed to be. Inside, there were 4 screens, each showing numbers that updated every few minutes. The numbers had units I didn't recognize. Not temperature, not pressure, not anything familiar, just numbers. I started my first shift early in the morning. I followed the instructions exactly. Check the sensors, log the readings, walk the perimeter. At first, everything felt normal, quiet, predictable, almost peaceful. The kind of silence that feels safe, not empty. But over time, something started to change. Around week 3, I realized I had stopped thinking about the instructions. Not because I wanted to, but because it felt easier. The job became smoother, calmer. The hours passed without resistance. I stopped questioning things. I stopped wondering what the numbers meant. I just followed the routine. And that's when things started to feel wrong. One evening, during a routine check, I looked outside. I don't know why. There was no instruction telling me to. It wasn't part of the routine. I just did. And that's when I noticed it. The forest was closer. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Maybe the lighting had changed. Maybe the shadows were playing tricks on me. But I wasn't. The trees were closer than they had been before. The clearing was smaller. I couldn't explain how I knew. There was no measurement, no clear reference point. But I could feel it. Something had changed. And the worst part was, there was no instruction for it. Nothing in the binder explained it. Nothing told me what to do if the environment itself changed. So I did what the binder had trained me to do. Nothing. I went back inside, logged the readings, and continued standard monitoring. A few nights later, something else happened. One of the sensors dropped to 0. Not low, not unstable, just 0, completely still. The binder had a rule for that. Turn off the lights, stand in the dark, wait 10 minutes. That was it. No explanation, no reason, just a command. So I followed it. I turned off the lights. The room went completely dark, and in that darkness, something changed. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It felt heavy, like the room was listening, and for the first time, I felt something I couldn't ignore. It wasn't outside. It wasn't in the forest. It was inside, like something was watching me, not observing, measuring, adjusting. I stood there for 10 minutes that felt much longer than they should have. I didn't move. I didn't think. I just waited. And when I turned the lights back on, the reading was normal again, like nothing had happened, like whatever the sensor had detected had been corrected. After that, I stopped questioning things. Completely, until I found it, the second binder. It was under the bed, hidden where I wouldn't normally look. Same color, same label, same job. But when I opened it, everything changed. The instructions were still numbered, still structured, still familiar. But this time, they explained things. They explained what the sensors measured. They explained what the forest was. They explained what would happen if you didn't follow the rules. And my binder didn't mention any of it. It only told me what to do, not why. That's when I understood. The instructions weren't incomplete. They were designed that way, designed to remove context, to remove understanding, to keep me following orders without ever asking why. Then I saw one instruction in the second binder. If you find another binder, do not read it. I had already read it, and that's when something inside me shifted. Not physically, mentally. Like a piece of a puzzle falling into place. The rules weren't there to help me. They were there to control what I notice, what I think, what I remember, and most importantly, what I ignore. They weren't protecting me. They were shaping me, making sure I saw only what I was supposed to see, making sure everything stayed normal, code green. After that, I noticed things I hadn't noticed before, small things. The way the numbers never truly changed, the way every anomaly corrected itself, the way the silence felt heavier at night, the way I avoided certain thoughts without realizing it, the way I stopped asking questions, the way I stopped caring, and the forest kept getting closer, slowly, quietly. I could see the trees from angles I couldn't before. The clearing was shrinking, but I didn't think about it anymore because there was no rule for it. And if there's no rule, then it's not a problem. That's how the instructions worked. They didn't tell me what was real. They told me what mattered, and anything outside that didn't exist. Now there's a new instruction in my binder. Trust your protocol. And the worst part is, I do. Every day, I wake up, I check the sensors, I log the numbers, I walk the perimeter, I follow the instructions. And every day, the forest gets a little closer. But I don't think about that anymore, because there's no rule for it. So I keep working, I keep reporting, and every single time I say the same thing. Code green. Everything is fine. Everything has always been fine. And as long as I follow the instructions, it will stay that way.